Bearcat Bounce Podcast. I'm back at it again. Happy Monday, folks. Happy Monday following a tough week for the basketball program. But nothing a Big Mac and some fries can't cure. Happy Monday as well to another week of off-season progress for the football program and prep for year 3 in the Big 12. And a happy Monday where I get to rekindle with some of my best friends and a very, very special guest. You know, some might know him as the first team all-conference quarterback for Appalachian State in 1995, leading the Mountaineers to a perfect regular season and conference championship. Others might know him as the user and adapter of the infamous Scribble Dibble, but most, including you, know him as the head football coach for your University of Cincinnati Bearcats. So without further ado, Aaron Smith, Chad Brendel, Ryan Royer, and Scott Satterfield. Gentlemen, how are we?
Great. How's everybody doing?
My kid went to school today, so that I almost threw a party. We went straight to the ER after the show last week, Brent. Spent the night in the ER, spent the next day at Children's Hospital. She had a staph infection in her knee, just above her knee. So, but in typical Brendel family toughness, and by Brendel family, I mean her mom, we got out of the hospital at 5:15 Tuesday evening, and we were at Fifth Third Arena by 5:30. She said, "Dad, I'm going to the game." I said, "Kelsey, you need to go home and rest. Your knee is messed up." She got some crutches, and she went to the game.
No. Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So
grit.
She was back at volleyball practice today. I threw a little party in the car when I got to school in the morning, and she got out and she went into school. Threw a little party in the car, but things are good other than that.
There we go, man. There we go.
I know
you had a great Saturday night too, man. That whale of a round ball game we all got to take in, huh? How about that?
Aaron and I got done with work at 2.
Yeah,
we did.
2.
Breaking down a stellar game at 2 a.m. too, man. That's awesome.
Those late West Coast trips, not fun.
Got another one tomorrow.
Yeah.
Can't wait. Weekday.
Can't wait. Bart Scott style. Can't wait.
10 p.m. tip, baby. Gotta love those late nights, baby. Late night. Aaron, how are we, sir? I missed you last week, man. By the way, my story was 100% accurate. I've got all the receipts you need.
There are just a lot of discrepancies with what time this flight was supposed to leave. That's not on me, man.
Well, I will be honest. I did get invited to the Pacers game that Saturday night, so I did move the flight immediately to 5 a.m. on Sunday morning. I missed said flight at 5 a.m. Did hop in my car and start driving.
You left that out when you told me you missed the flight on Saturday night.
Well, I didn't want to just
it
would have been unprofessional of me to not mention that it was actually a Pacers game I attended instead of said missed flight. But I did miss the 5 a.m. flight. By the way, those things should be illegal. Like, that is impossible to catch those flights. I will stand on the pedestal and say that. What?
How was the chip?
Oh,
we'll get to that. We got a guest. We'll get to that. We'll get to that.
It was fun. We'll get to that. But Royer, how are we, sir?
Doing great. Just happy to have Coach on here. Bring some new fresh air into some dark times. So this is exciting.
He's a basketball guy. We'll get some basketball thoughts out of him.
Yeah.
All right. There we go.
Well, Coach. I gave you the little intro there, a little scribble dibble, if you will. But how are we, man? How's everything been going?
Going really good. You know, we obviously staying busy. You know, as usual, recruiting. The portal's been, I think it's been really good to us. So we, hosting a bunch of guys over the last 3 to 4 weeks. We bring them in. It's usually about a 24-hour period. They come in. The first thing we do, we send them to Aaron down in the training room because we got to get their medical first. To see if they're all healthy and if there's anything that needs to be done. And then, then we start the tour and talk. And most of these guys really don't care much about that type of thing. What they're really looking for is, how are you going to use me? What's your plans for me? And then we want to hang around them because we want to see what makes them tick. How are they? What kind of, are they here? What are they here for, basically? And, we go out to dinner, and then the next morning they have breakfast and they're out of here. So it's basically 24 hours. And so, we brought a bunch in, and we've got 15 guys that have signed and that are here. One's going to be here very soon. One's not here yet, but 14 are here right now, going through workouts, and then and that's going along with 12 freshmen that we signed that are here right now. So you're looking at 20. It'll be 27. New scholarship players that are here. Going through winter programs. So, we were out in the field today with our guys. So it started last Monday with Nico and his crew. It's been going really good. We're really excited about the guys we brought in, as well as the guys that we retained and brought back. So it's a great mix right now, and just, looking forward to head through this winter program.
Well, of course, I have to be the one to bring it up because, as much as anyone who listens to this show knows, I love the Chiefs. But Travis Kelce and Brian Cook are about to be in a Super Bowl. That's awesome. Just FaceTime for University of Cincinnati.
Yeah, it's incredible. Incredible that these guys are in the Super Bowl again, and with a chance to win 3 in a row with the Chiefs there. I mean, that what never happened, right? So, I mean, it's. I read something today. They've won maybe 16 or 17 straight one-possession games, which is unbelievable. Mahomes is a magician. He makes it look so easy. You're sitting there watching them on offense, and very rarely do they have a bad play. And there don't seem to be very complicated plays. I mean, and I think Andy Reid's one of the best coaches to ever coach. I think he's done a phenomenal job in his career. He just seems to find ways to utilize the talent that he has. And I think as a coach, that's what you want to be able to do. He does as good as anybody's ever done it. And they're fun to watch. There's no question about it. To me, it's been fun to watch these NFL games. There've been some, these teams are awesome to watch, and they're competing their tails off. And kind of feel bad for the Bills a little bit. They've been right there, and Josh Allen is an incredible player. And man, they've been so close, and they just can't beat those guys. And so, yeah, it's going to be exciting, I think, for Super Bowl with the Eagles and the Chiefs, and looking forward to that as well.
Coach,
you mentioned you were watching.
It's easy, right? Just don't make any mistakes. And then every time the other team makes a mistake, you go score a touchdown. And it's that simple. It's
pretty simple. And then every now and again, the referees bail you out. So, I mean, that helps too.
He's allowed to talk about the refs on this show.
Yeah, exactly. I can talk about these refs. And whatever they're doing, the Chiefs, I need to find out what they're doing, man, because we have been on the wrong side of some refereeing, I can tell you. But those guys are on the right side, and I mean, including the quarterback sneak there at the end with Allen. I mean, looked like to me he was across the line. So I mean, I don't know. They allowed it not to happen.
Yeah. Aaron has thoughts on that.
I hate the Chiefs, man.
No, I mean the ball.
Oh, chip the ball. Just chip the ball.
Yeah, I agree. Chip the ball. We won't have to worry about it. There won't be any measurements. There won't be any of this stuff. With the technology we have, surely that'll happen soon. Man, you would think.
Tennis runs it to like the nearest eighth of a fraction of an inch, whatever it is. I don't understand how you can't chip both sides of the football and just figure it out.
I agree. That would solve all this. That particular thing was spotting the football.
Yeah.
Aaron has lost his mind on that topic like 120 times on this channel.
See, I also think they should also chip the golf ball, and you should have it on your phone. You put the number in your golf ball, and you'll be able to find that every single time. I lose too many out there. Ryan knows what I'm talking about here.
I know about watching you do it while I'm hitting all those straightaways.
Oh, yeah, you're hitting the bombs right down the middle. Yeah.
I relate because I watched you do it, not because I'm doing it myself.
Yeah.
It's all right.
If somebody comes up with that, I mean, I feel like that technology, we could make a little bit of money there with that technology. Ryan, you're a pretty smart guy, man.
I try, but, I say I have relative intelligence. I'm only smart at something I stare at for 40 hours a week.
Coach, he cheated off Alex Pierce's.
He did. Okay, well,
Yeah.
you're gonna cheat off somebody. That's probably a pretty good person to cheat off of. That's for sure.
It's not fair because he's in the NFL and I'm not, but he's got both things going for him. So he
Yeah.
was already smarter than me and just a little bit more athletic. But
Yeah,
I guess things
He
work
was a
out.
better engineer and a better football player. It's tough.
I don't know.
hey, some people are just blessed with everything. I mean,
There are things I got on him we're not going to get into, but we'll save that for another time. Coach, you mentioned, you liked watching all these playoff games here. That's like the best of the best in the NFL. Are there times where you're kind of, studying and like looking to kind of pick apart some of the things they're doing on offense and trying to implement into your offense and wiggle it into some of the things you like to do?
Yeah, absolutely. We get all the film from the NFL, so we bring it in and study it. It's particularly this time of the year. When we're in the office there, you got a bunch of time, to go and find some new ideas, some new things that these teams are doing, and a lot of the things that we have within our offense, and you can tweak it here or there with some of the nuances that these guys are bringing in. I mean, it's interesting. Yesterday, when you're watching the Eagles, I think they scored on this. They had two fullbacks in the backfield with a tailback, and they ran counter, a GT pull counter. Both fullback went to the right. Well, the Eagles handed it off, and he scores on the counter. The Chiefs ran the exact same play, and Mahomes pulls it and runs behind Travis. That's when Travis had the big block when he scores the touchdown. It was the identical play. Both teams ran it on the same day, two different teams. And one of them handed it off and scored. The other one pulls it and scores. I thought that was pretty interesting to me. But yeah, we're looking at all the plays that the way Mahomes gets rid of the football, so quickly. I like, obviously, he's so talented, but the ball come out of his hands. I feel like, we want to ask our players to do the things they do well, and I think Sorsby gets the ball out of his hands quickly on some of these short little throws. I mean, so something like that, we're going to look at Mahomes and see, all right, how are they doing that? How are they getting these guys in space? With their running game, I feel like we do a good job with our running game. So how can that create some space for these wideouts and the Sorsby, be able to throw the ball to them? Some of the more run pass options where I think he does a really good job with that. Maybe trying to incorporate a little bit more of that this year.
Yeah, I was going to ask you.
You guys did use a lot of more of the motion stuff this year.
Yeah,
is that something that just continue? I mean, we've seen that orbit motion, and teams are using that at a much more advanced level than we've ever seen now.
Yeah, I think so. You're really just trying to manipulate the defense. So anytime you're going to, move a guy from one side or the other, and then when you snap the football matters. If you snap it on this side of the center, or if you snap it right behind the quarterback, or just past the quarterback, all those things matter to their ID and who's number 1, 2, and 3. And you're really just trying to you're trying to dig the defense. Really, you're trying to figure out a way where they are confused. And you're freeing up somebody. So yes, again, we saw that yesterday in some of those plays they're running. And a lot of those plays they have the ability to hand the ball off, but if the linebacker doesn't bump or safety doesn't roll over, well, now we're going to pull it and we're going to be able to throw the ball out there and get some cheap yards.
You were mentioning how you liked Sorsby in that RPO look. You kind of saw Mahomes really digging into his rushing side of his attack in that game. And we kind of saw Sorsby dip into that bag too, showing his running talents. Is that something where he's a good arm talent, he can sit back there and sling it, but he also has the ability to run? Are you looking to go with a more balanced attack with him and utilize him in the run game?
Yeah, that's a good point. We brought it up after the season. Looking back at our offense, what are things that we need to, to do better, and to do more of, and certainly getting him more involved. There were some games where he got really involved in the run game and others where he didn't. We got to utilize that talent. Against Iowa State, I think he had 141 yards rushing and, really utilized his legs. We have to be able to utilize more of that because that puts pressure on the defenses. And and he's good at it, and particularly when it's the time to get a first down, like he's going to put his head down and try to go run over somebody. He'll do that in the red zone as well. I think he was, one of the top quarterbacks for rushing touchdowns this year in the Big 12. So he's got a knack and just a tenacity to want to get that first down or the touchdown. So we certainly got to utilize more of that. And again, it puts more pressure on the defenses, and then getting them on the edge of the defense on the perimeter, out in space. So now, you've allowed the defense to break down a little bit more, and he has an opportunity to run and get yards or throw the ball down the field. So, all those things, I think we have to do a better job of putting them in space and allowing them to utilize that talent.
we always went back and forth towards the end of the year. It felt like he was being used a lot more in the run game. And we felt that, we were kind of struggling to get open sometimes at the wide receiver position. Was that kind of more of that emphasis you guys are starting to pick up? Well, our guys aren't getting enough separation and, we might as well use an extra blocker in this quarterback run look. Was that kind of a tendency you guys were picking up on too?
Yeah, once they're toward the end of the season, we were having a more trouble getting open. More teams. I think we go to Colorado, they were playing straight man, and they had 3 really good man DBs. We thought it was hard for our guys to get free, and then and the same thing later on in the season, some of the other games too. It's like so if they are doing that and they are running underneath and they got a guy on top, and so you got to utilize that 11th player as opposed to going 10 on 11. Let's try to use 11 on 11 and utilize his legs more, to try to go get some yards and generate some offense. And I think he's good at it. Obviously you got to take care of the football. I think that was obviously a detriment, in the West Virginia game and the Iowa State game. I think he had a fumble maybe on a 15-yard line going in the red zone in that game as well. So just really taking care of the football. And it's not one of these deals where he's going to carry it 20 times a game. Certainly we're not saying that, but I think something where he's able to utilize his legs, get some first downs, keep drives alive, and then, and hopefully we're still able to get other guys involved. And I think, one of the things that we wanted to go out this year and get was some speed, at wide receiver. And I think that was the thing that we were lacking last year. We really didn't have that guy who was going to knock the top off of it and or, catch a hitch and go 60, So I think we're really trying to go find some guys with some speed. And I think we were able to do that. A couple of guys, Cyrus Allen is a guy that was at Texas A&M last year that, started for those guys and, didn't have a big year for them. He did the year before at La Tech, and we feel like he really can have that big year for us. I feel like he can be a guy that can run by some people. He can go. And then Caleb Goody's a guy who last year, I think, looking at Catapult, he was one of the fastest receivers in the country last year. I think maybe 5th or 6th in the country speed-wise. And so he's also a guy that's a legit 6'1". Up almost 6'2", so he's a tall guy that can go. And then, a guy who really doesn't get a lot of talk about is Jeff Caldwell from Lindenwood. I'd never heard of Lindenwood, quite honestly. I didn't, small school guy. But he is 6'5", and he can run as well. He's got some really good speed. So, those 3 guys, I think, certainly going to add some more speed in the receiver room and hopefully put more pressure on the defenses.
So how different and how much of a luxury was it going into this offseason having Sorsby kind of entrenched at arguably the most important position on the football team?
Yeah, man, really extremely important. Obviously we all know it doesn't matter what level you're at, rec league, high school, college, or pro, you better have a trigger man, a guy that can go get it done. And to have him back this year, a year under the belt, learning everything and knows all our guys, knows all our coaches, feels extremely comfortable in what we're trying to do. I really feel like he'll excel this year. And at times he did really, really good. You think about the first 6 or 7 games. I thought he played really, really well. Obviously, the last 5 games, not as good. I did think he came back against TCU and played a much better game against TCU, and it was in the snow too in the second half of that game. But I think we got to play this the Sorsby that played in the first half of the season, and have that come back here and try to get more of that throughout the 12 games next year. And because if he plays well, we're going to have a great chance of winning football games. We all know that. I think. Defensively, we'll be better this year. We were last year. We're going to take more steps this year. Man, I'm excited for the first time in I don't know how many years, maybe 5 years, we got the same defensive coordinator back-to-back years. That's exciting to me. We've instead of having to reteach a defense, relearn terminology on that side of the ball, a defense that was 6.5 points better per game last year, and I feel like we've added to this team defensively this year, and we got a bunch of guys back. So I'm excited about the defense will be better next year with that.
Coach, talk about the importance of Thorsby, Corleone, Royer.
Oh, yeah.
Those top of the roster guys and having retention there. Just what does that do for kind of the overall mood of the offseason, the overall feel of where the program is headed when guys like that reinvest?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think, it speaks volumes about our program. I mean, from people can have opinions about our program, good or bad or whatever, but when you have a player like Dante Corleone that, number one, could have went to the NFL, could have gotten in the portal and went anywhere in the country and garnered a lot of money. Joe Royer had a 3rd or 4th round grade. He had a Senior Bowl invite. He was one of the best tight ends in the country. Easily could have left, went somewhere else. Easily could have went pro, decided to come back. I don't have to sell our program to any transfers that are coming in here. I just tell them those 2 stories. I'm like, guys, I mean, these guys could have went anywhere. They're coming back. So what does that tell you about our program? What does that tell you about the culture in the locker room, in the weight room? These guys are excited. These guys want to continue to develop. These guys know that when they get to the NFL, there's not much developing going on at that point. I mean, you better be ready-made when you get there. So they, another year to go, to get stronger, to get all the things to enhance their game and to get better at their game when they do get an opportunity to the NFL, and they feel like they got a great opportunity to do that here at Cincinnati, and that's awesome, and to be able to get those 2 guys back, to get Gavin Gerhardt, who was he's going to be a 3-time starter, going to be a 3-time captain. There's not many people that can say that, and he's a tremendous leader, great person. Jake Golday, Evan Pryor, Tony Johnson, who had 6 touchdowns last year for us receiving. All these guys, man, and we all know, we saw it this year in the portal, man. If you got in the portal and you actually started or played, you can get a lot of money. All these guys have done it. But for all these guys that I just mentioned to be able to come back here, believing in what we're doing, believing that they can have an even bigger impact next year, it says a lot about our program. I'm excited about getting these guys back. They're fun to work with. It's just enjoyable every day when you go out around these guys, and I think they feel that, and that's why they want to be here.
On the topic of Joe Royer, obviously all the fans just see how much he just oozes with talent.
Yeah.
Is there, kind of this past season being his first real big taste of high level college football, is there an even higher level that he can go into of production next year?
Absolutely. I think he can continue to get way better than he is right now. I really believe that. I think he just scratched the surface last year. He's a guy who really, I think he had maybe 5 career catches at Ohio State before he coming in here. And, and we had to convince him, hey, you come here, man, you got a great opportunity. We're going to use you. We're going to get you the ball. There had to be some trust there. And, he was able to stay healthy and do that. I mean, he, had a great year and, was all Big 12. And the thing that I think he can get better at, though, is route running. I think he utilizes speed and his great hands just to, to get open and catch the football. But I think he can get more. He can get just straighter lines when he's running routes. I mean, he can really step on toes. And he can break it off and get, those routes where you get more separation. I think he's got to continue to work on that. And then also, being more physical in the blocking game. I think he's just going to create more value for himself if he's able to do that. As well as, get more crisp in the route running. And, I think, he's a guy that you could really and truly in every drive try to at least get him the ball at least 1 touch on every drive. He's that kind of guy. It wouldn't surprise me if we look up in one game next year and he's got 12 catches. I just think he's that kind of guy who can continue to catch the ball and continue to make plays. And every play doesn't have to be a first down or a touchdown. I mean, he can get those tough 6 to 8 yard plays that keep you on the sticks and keep you going. I think Sorsby's got a great rapport with him. I think they got a great relationship. And I think, this offseason, to be able to spend more time with each other, I feel like he can even do even better and extend, how many catches that he had last year. And so, I mean, I think he can, his goal is to be the first tight end taken next year. It's a lofty goal. In the NFL, but I think if he works hard, like we all think he's going to do this all season, and obviously stays healthy, then he can have the kind of year that would warrant, the first tight end taken.
When you go back and look at those last 6 games where the passing game did kind of taper off, did you think maybe like we probably should have found him a little bit more to kind of get rhythm and kickstart things?
Yeah, no, we definitely did. He's looking back on it. He's one of our more reliable guys. He's going to catch the football. If you get the ball near him, he's going to catch it. He's 6'5", 255, 260 pounds. He can create space with his body, and he's got exceptionally soft hands. So yeah, getting him the ball, it just puts your offense in more of a rhythm, and I think we certainly need to utilize that. As I just mentioned, I mean, if not every drive, every other drive, you're trying to get him the ball to keep the sticks in line of where you want to be, and just find different ways to do it. Last year he was in the box of the offense. We also split him out some at the wide receiver position. I think this year we'll still be able to move him around and put him in a lot of different positions and try to get him matched up on some different players. One thing that we didn't do much with him is all the way on the outside against a corner. And I do think that's a mismatch for them to be able to have a guy that size against a smaller corner. Now he can go post that corner up and we get him the ball that way too. So it's just finding different ways of getting him the ball.
And you think with the wide receivers you got creating more separation, creating more attention, it's going to open things up for him because, like you were mentioning, by the back end of the year, if you're getting strapped up on man, when you're on your split out guys, it's pretty easy to bracket a tight end with a linebacker and a safety. So expanding out on those guys is just going to give him more opportunity. And the more they try to key in on him, the more chances you're going to get your explosive players in space and like one-on-one with guys that you're counting on them to beat. So that's kind of what I was leading into with you is that did you feel like teams are kind of keying in on him being like him being the clear obvious threat on your offense? Do you think that's why
I think that was
many touches?
Yeah, I think that was part of it. I do think they got to be cognizant of where he's at, and so like if you are closer to the box, you can put a linebacker underneath him, then a safety over top. Makes it a little bit more difficult to get him the ball. I also think that's where you need to have some speed out on the outside where you can run somebody through the middle. You can run somebody down the seams where now they're going to knock that top off. They got to back up a little bit. That's going to create more space, with the 8 to 12 yard throws to the tight end in that intermediate area. If those safeties are just sitting on top of it with the linebackers, there's not much space in there. So we got to do a much better job of getting more vertical, pushing the defense back, but also horizontal. So we got to be able to throw the ball out here to create that space, vertical and horizontal. That's going to open up so much more for Joe to be able to work the middle. And I think with the speed that we brought in here, that's something we have to do. We have to continue to try to do that within our offense too. Yeah,
and those crisper routes that he can run, that'll definitely help because fastest way to the ball is a straight line. So
that's it, man. That's it.
It's music to my ears. I want to see them opening up the field and airing it deep. But special teams was kind of a mess last year. And you have a new punter, a new kicker. Somebody's going to be the special teams coordinator as Kerry Combs and the team have separated ways. So sell me on why we should be okay with where special teams is going to be next year.
Yeah, I think the special teams, I thought the first half of the season, we had a pretty good record. Our special teams was very solid. Now we look at the hidden yardage. The hidden yardage are the yards that you're gaining or losing in the kicking game. So, kickoff team, kickoff return, punt and punt return. Those are the four core. And beginning of the season, we won the hidden yardage and most, I think, we lost it once out of the first 7. Of course, we're sitting there 5-2. Your record's a lot better. The last half of the season, we lost all but one. And I think we didn't do a very good job at all in the return game, the punt return game. It certainly did not help us. We muffed some punts. We didn't field punts. I mean, people talk about the return punt, but if you don't field it and the ball hits and rolls 20 more yards, we just lost 20 yards right there. And that's what we're talking about in the hidden yardage. We got to do a much better job. So we got to get a guy that we feel great about that's going to field the kicks. And we brought in a lot of guys that have talent, a lot of speed. That's going to be a huge emphasis this spring of getting a guy that we have the most confidence in and that putting back there in the punt return. We also have to punt the ball better. And we all love Fletch, Fletch, but Fletch didn't have his best year last year in punting the football. We have his brother now, Max, that's going to be here punting. We got high hopes for Max. Max has got a strong leg. When Max got here from Arkansas, I think he averaged 47 yards and some change per punt, which is incredible. That's flipping the field. So that's how you win hidden yardage. We got to do a much better job in our coverage units in the punt team. I think about the West Virginia game, they got a couple out on us on the punt return. And I do think when you think about kickoff team, we signed a kicker, Steven Rusnick from Charlotte. that he was 81% touchbacks on his kickoffs. So they can't return them, then they're going to start on the 25. That's certainly going to help us. And then he was 11 for 11 on field goals. Part of our special team woes last year, early in the season, we missed a 25-yard against Pitt. We lost by a walk-off field goal by 1. We missed a field goal right before half against Texas Tech and missed one at the end of the game. We lost by 3. We made a couple kicks. We're sitting there 7-0 after the first 7 games. So hopefully Stephen comes in and continues his perfect streak of 11-11. You can continue to build off of that. So, we feel like with the skill guys that we recruited is going to help in the return game. Obviously Stephen in the kicking game, and then Max is the new punter. Hopefully Max will have a great year for us like he did at Arkansas. So, and the other thing that we did, and I felt like we really with the 14 guys that we brought, 15 guys with the transfers we brought in, and then these high school guys, that's going to give us more depth that we're going to need on the coverage units and the return units. Because if you're having to play the same guys on defense and on special teams, every snap, you just end up wearing those guys down. So we got some more depth. We got more guys that can run, and more athletic guys that'll help our special teams. And we're going to get more coaches involved in the teams. I think one of the things that I think we can do is to split up, the abilities that they have within the teams. You look at the 4 core guys. All right, well, which coaches have some great knowledge in the kickoff return game, and let's put these guys on the kickoff return. Same thing for punt return or punt or kickoff. We have to utilize all our coaches within that. So you may have 4 or 5 coaches that'll be assigned for the 4 different core units, man, because you got to have more eyes on it. You can't let any one player slip around. You may have 2 guys right here that all I have to look at is these 2 guys. We're going to make sure those 2 guys do right. If they're not, then find somebody else that can do it. So just more eyes on the teams. It's certainly going to be a point of emphasis this offseason.
Just real quick,
I don't get wowed in practice very often. Some of the hang time from Max, like you would just stop and go, how did he get it up there? Like it was incredible sometimes.
I would agree with that. Yeah, I didn't mention that, but yeah, and I'm the one I time it at practice every day. So I'm sitting there timing how, he had several over 5 seconds, and we're talking, these balls are going, some of those are going 60, 65 yards in the air, which is incredible. And you think about it, we're 15 yards behind the center. So 60 yards from where the center is, my man is booming that thing. So hopefully he can do that next year.
And this is the number 1 self-proclaimed Gunner podcast in the entire world. So we're going to be
we love Gunners
tracking that
Gunners, man.
intently in the offseason. So
golly, we got to have them Gunners flying down, smacking people, man.
Let's go.
Got to make sure they're getting behind the returner and on those when you're kicking from the 40 or 50 to make sure we don't let those balls roll into the end zone. I know there's
well, so last year, not this past season, but the season before, we had 0 balls get punted into the end zone, 0. Which is probably, I can't get any better than that, right? And this past season, I think we were 5 or 6 balls that got into the end zone. Yeah, that's a great point, because now that's costing us 20 yards, and we factor that into our hidden yards. So if you can down that ball inside the 10, the 5-yard line, man, that's a huge difference. That's at least a first down and a half right there, where an offense has to get to move the ball on you. So that is a great point there.
Yeah, because it's all situational. Because you at all other points of the field when you're putting, you're telling your guys, run down there with your hair on fire, run right at that returner, and you pull off right when he's fair catching. But like when you're down there, it's more about where's the ball. Like I want to find the ball. I don't want to find the returner, because chances are he's going to run me off. Or if he takes 1 step back inside the 10, there's no way he's going for it. So I remember when we were playing, it was always literally you're running down there and you're looking for the ball the whole time, and you're just sprinting to get your heels right on that goal line. And we always
that's what we do. Yeah, we teach him the snapper. He's going to front the returner anyway. The other guys are going to the goal line, so you're going right to the goal line, trying to find the ball, track the ball, and then you catch it or knock it down or whatever, and down it inside the 5. Man, that's one of the most prettiest plays in football, in my opinion. When you down a ball inside the 5-yard line, because everybody works so well together, that is a beautiful play that's going to help your team win.
I always loved when we catch it and the fans don't really know what's going on, because it just seems so wrong. But that's when the guys are really keyed in and doing exactly what they're doing.
100%. Yeah.
If you need a name for special teams coach, Ryan will second this. Just give Brian Mason a call. I don't think he's doing anything.
Yeah.
Brian Mason.
Yeah. It's the Colts. I mean, you can get him out of the NFL.
You can get him out of NFL, man.
He was a wizard.
So, Coach, obviously, some big departures. John Williams that was just getting some big time props on old X.com for his Shrine Bowl practice performances. He was there with Corey Kiner. Corey, obviously, back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons. You guys do bring in Tawi Walker. Are you kind of looking to see if? Well, first off, touch on those two guys. Now, obviously, you got Kendra and X and D'Artagnan getting ready for the Hula Bowl. But when it comes to filling in kind of just that big time power back that Corey Kiner was, is that kind of what the vision was when you guys brought in Walker?
Yeah, I mean, we went out and tried to find. We wanted a bigger back. We felt like we got some guys that are not as big, right? 185, 90-pound type guys that are a good change of pace back. And like Pryor, Pryor did a phenomenal job with that. I mean, he had 4 touchdowns over 50 yards. So he's a great one. Corey would wear him down and he'd come in and make a big play for us. But yeah, Tawi is a guy who actually played at Nippert when he was at Oklahoma. And got some carries and had some big plays against us in that game. And then went up to Wisconsin and had, I think, 864 yards rushing up at Wisconsin this past season. When we first met him, I was like, my God. I mean, that dude is huge, man. I mean, he's like, 5'8", 5'9". He's kind of short, but he came on his visit. He's 221 pounds. Wide shoulders, thick thighs and legs, of similar build to Corey, and I think he was bigger than Corey, though, because Corey probably played around, somewhere around 208, 210, somewhere in that range. And I do think he'll get down. I think Tawi will be he wants to play around 214, 215, 216, somewhere in that 215 range. But yes, he's that power back. He's a guy who can run through, tackles. He's a really good protector in the backfield as far as pass pro goes. He's got that down. He can catch the ball in the backfield as well. So, I think he's about as similar as you can get to Corey, quite honestly, a guy who to bring in and to fill in where Corey left off. Howie's a guy who's not had 1,000 yards in his career. So, it'll be interesting to see, where he falls as far as this fall goes, is, getting 1,000 or not. But he'll have some great competition with Pryor. Pryor's working extremely hard. He's put on some weight as well. Manny Covey is another guy who's worked hard this offseason, who's got some juice. We saw that in the Texas Tech game.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like we got some good depth there at the running back position. Chance is another back there that ended up redshirting last year. So we got some depth there at the running back spot. You mentioned, losing Kendra and DT and John Williams. I mean, there's some great players and great people too, man. We're going to miss those guys tremendously. They're such great leaders and just great people. And, John Williams, he's one of the most improved players we had from the year before to last year. Incredible year. We had NFL scouts about every practice up looking at the offensive line, looking at Kendra and DT. Well, after about week 2 and week 3, everybody kept asking about John, and that just happened throughout the whole season. I think he may have given up one quarterback pressure this year, but it wasn't hardly anything at all. He got himself to an all-star game. He's going to be at some NFL team. That's where he's going to be. And, so we got to replace those guys. And we end up bringing a couple of transfers in that I think, will help. Tyron Tyo came in from Ball State, who will really fill in at that guard position, a wide shoulder, really heavy guy who started a bunch of ball at Ball State. He started guard and tackle, matter of fact, started tackle last year. So, he's got the ability to be able to play both spots. I think Nolan, who came in, who's about 6'8", 6'7", and the guy, he's got great feet, man. So he's a guy who's from Canada, actually. But likes country music, fits in well in the States. He came in the last week and a half, and I was like, man, he can really move. He's got great bend. We're excited about him. He'll compete at the tackle spot along with some other, some of our players that were on our team last year. We feel like we're in pretty good shape with that, with Gavin coming back, with Buford coming back. Evan Tangenall coming back. So we got some guys that have played a lot of ball for us that are coming back up front, but we also added, we feel like, some guys that are really be in the mix.
We're getting low on time. I did want to ask you about the practice facility.
Yes.
And what you're seeing from that. I know you'd probably like to hit the fast forward button and get that thing ready for spring.
Ooh.
because you haven't had a practice facility since you've been here.
Nope.
You've been at Nippert Stadium, but each week walking through that thing, are you starting to get the vibe and the vision and what this thing can become? Because it is the size of that thing is incredible when you're going past it coming into campus. It's impressive.
Yeah, you mentioned the fact that we've been practicing in Nippert. We're probably the only Power 4 team in the country, and we've been doing it for 2 years now, practicing in Nippert with no practice facility. I came from Louisville. We had 3 practice fields and an indoor and a game field. Had 5 fields. We've got 1. And it's only bringing that up because the last 2 years when you're recruiting these portal guys and they're coming, they're visiting Oklahoma State, they're visiting Pitt, they're visiting West Virginia. These are teams we're competing against. And these guys all have these things, and they're coming to visit us. And, these receivers, hey, where we're going to throw this winter? And I'm like, well, right here in the stadium. We're going to be out here, in January, February, or they can go play somewhere else and they got a nice cozy indoor. But these guys chose us because they believed in what we're doing. And so I say that to say I can't wait to get in this new facility so we can actually bring them in there. Hey, this is our indoor facility, guys. This is where we're going to be working out. This is your locker room that's going to go right into the training room, right into the weight room. We got these 3 garage doors that are opening up right into our indoor. So you go from warming up in the indoor right in here to lifting weights right back into the indoor. If you're a receiver or quarterback, you can go start throwing and right then and there, right when you finish lifting. It's so much more convenience. It's got a cafeteria, and that's for all the athletes that are going to be able to use the cafeteria in this building. Then it's got all our meeting rooms, players lounge there. It really is. It's incredible. I've been in a bunch of facilities throughout the country, and this is as nice as any of them that I've ever been in. The architects did a phenomenal job. The flow, how everything flows together, is incredible. I like a connected team. We want to be connected as a staff and as players. And so in this building, we'll all be able to hang out. We'll all be able to be around each other. The conversation that you're going to be able to have is so important. Not just drawing up an X and O's play, but hey, man, how's your mama doing? If I'm walking down the hallway and you get to interact with these guys all the time, you can do that so many more times. You build so much more rapport. You build trust. You build so many things that build a connected team that help you go win football games. So there's so much more to it than just the X and O piece. I mean, I believe, and I think about, you think about, we just talked about all these NFL teams, man. You think about some of the teams that like Mahomes and those guys at the Chiefs or the Eagles. I feel like they're very connected. I mean, they play for each other. They care about each other. And I think, anybody that's an athlete that's ever been on a team like that, they know what I'm talking about. And so the more you can have that connection, the better off you're going to be. Obviously, you got to be talented and you got to play hard and all that. But that connection that you have with each other, what ends up happening, you don't want to let your brother down beside you. So you're going to do everything you can to not let him down. And when you do that, you're going to be making plays and you're going to go win some football games. So that's more than anything. I can't wait to get in that building.
Do you feel like it's been easier now that kind of, you mentioned the defense being more established, your offensive scheme being more established, kind of more a continuation instead of having to start from day one and kind of build up everything, build up X's and O's, and now those are kind of settled? Do you feel like it's been easier to kind of really get closer and dig deeper with your guys?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great point. I think, year one, we kind of we didn't change much. We kind of came in and we just kind of went through it, kind of relying on the players that we did have. And it didn't work out well at all. We kind of reset the whole program, kind of started over that last December, brought a bunch of great guys in here that worked their tails off and set the culture all last year. And I think we did that and we got better. Obviously, we were 5-2, obviously like to win some of those at the end there, but we did get a lot better. And I feel like this last week, talking to Coach Nico, like there wasn't a whole lot of teaching. We didn't have to do a lot of teaching. You got so many guys back. They know the standard. They know what everything takes in the weight room. And these guys that came in, all they did was watch these old guys that are here. They understand. So they're jumping right in there. And to your point, we get to start. We're so much further ahead right now than any point since I've been here. But a January 27th today, and some of the things that these guys were doing in the weight room and on the field today, because we were out on the field today, man, that didn't happen until the summer of last year. And so I feel like we're so much further ahead with that. It's a great point, with when you have that continuity and the guys that have been around for a while now. This is going to be their third off season with us, a lot of these guys, and they know what to expect. They know how to get through it. They know how to work their tails off and to really, demand that from their teammates. And I think that's a very critical point that we're in right now.
Yeah, because you guys, like, we all talked about it, like, man, we should be 7-0. We're so close.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I know, like, you guys ended up winning more games this past year than you did your first year, but I know you'll definitely agree with, like, there were so many moments, opportunities left on the table to kind of show the potential that you guys truly had, and you could have took a bigger step. So all those, like, moments, you're trying to learn from them. Is there something that you're really honing in on something you think the team needs to make its biggest improvements in to kind of, make up for those missed opportunities, but, still stay on pace, getting up in those win totals and making a bowl game?
Yeah, no, I think it's everything. Like, I think holistically, man, you got to look at everything and break everything down. The things we did not do well, we got to do better at. The things we did pretty good at, we got to do better at. I mean, we're breaking it all down this offseason. Offense, defense, kicking. Each individual player, if an individual player doesn't get better this offseason, they let us down, and that's what we're telling our guys. So every single player has to look themselves in the mirror, and they got to improve. Like, whatever the metrics are that we have, they have to improve. And if they didn't, something's wrong. And we're challenging our guys for that. And then us as coaches got to do the same thing. So what can we do better as coaches? And, we will tweak some things. We will try to make things better in every aspect because, we were 5-2 and we could have been, 7-0, but we did not do the things well enough to win, whatever that was, missing a field goal or, getting a penalty or, shoot, we had two guys go lay down on the ground right before halftime against Pitt and allowed them to get one more play and make 3 points that basically won the game. Just that one play, So what can we do to educate our guys better in that regard? So no, we're going to do everything we can to get better in all aspects. And because we all know, man, in this league, it's tough. Everybody's good. Everybody's got really good coaches and got really good players. Everybody is getting paid a lot of money, players and coaches. And so they're going to put their best foot forward out there. So what can we do that's a little bit better than everybody else to go out there and win these games? And so we're looking at all aspects of our program to make it better, to go out there and win more games, to go bowling, to make people proud of our program, man. I mean, one of the things I can't stand when we lose, I can't stand when people talk bad about us because we got a lot of pride in our program. We want people to have pride in our program too. We want people to want to fight somebody when they're talking bad about our program. I understand it if you're not winning because, what can you really brag about, right? So we got to find ways to win football games. And so people can feel proud about our program and go out there and brag and say, this is, we're Bearcats, man. You don't mess with us. And that's what we want from our fans and our players and our staff and everybody.
Yeah. I mean, we all saw the growth that you guys took last year, coming from year one. It was just like, we felt like there was more growth being shown, but the scoreboard wasn't always representing it sometimes. So, I mean, I just for me being an alumni, being a former player, I was happy. I was proud of it. Yeah. I was proud of the way you guys took steps last year. And I know there's plenty of room left to take there this year. So
there is.
Really excited for you guys.
Man, we're excited about getting back out there again and shoot, man, just getting out on the field. And today watching the guys run and it was awesome. And man, just to get around them and they're hungry. I mean, they're so freaking hungry. And I think that's great this time of year, man. You think about it, it's hard to get excited for January 27th when you don't play until September, but you just feel it. There's excitement in the air in the off season. I think that is a great thing to have in your football team.
All right. I don't want to get in trouble with Zach Stipe, so we're going to let you go.
We could go like 2 hours, 3 hours if Stipe and
we'll come back and do it again at some point here, Chad.
Wow. There we go.
All right.
There we go.
Marty Gilliard spent 3 hours. Marty Gilliard spent from opening kickoff of an NFL game until they were shaking hands on the field afterwards. And I think we asked him 6 questions.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know if you got to meet Marty when he was here.
I did, and I met him briefly, and that doesn't really surprise me, Chad. Quite honestly.
Briefly, you said hello. Marty talked.
Yeah.
You said nice to meet you. Goodbye.
Oh yeah,
Dinner
love
was over.
yeah. That's good.
All right. We
Awesome.
appreciate it, Coach. Thank you. And just a couple weeks. Spring ball's not too far away. What's about 6 weeks away?
Not too far away. Yep, about 6 weeks away, and we'll get 3 days before spring break. Get them a little break, come back and finish up. Right there mid to later April. But yeah, man, we can't wait. Excited about it. Appreciate you guys.
Be
yeah.
safe out there on the road, and we will talk soon. Thanks, man.
All right,
Appreciate it, Coach.
good. Ryan, go work on your golf game, buddy.
I need all the help I can get. I'm gonna need Tiger Woods or something this offseason.
All right, guys. Take care.
All right.
Thanks, Coach. Appreciate it.
Sure, Coach.
There you go.
There we go.
I mean, that was a lot more fun than what this 50 minutes would have looked like without Coach Satterfield.
Oh
We
yeah.
We
More
could have
fun than
easily
the
gone 3 hours.
That was
Because,
more
I
fun
mean,
than the 50 minutes we
We
did
haven't
after
even
the
we haven't
game.
even talked about the defensive side of the ball. We haven't even talked about the game at Arrowhead Stadium. We haven't even talked about. We could have gone in easily 3 hours, and I wanted to hear more about Ryan's golf game and a little bit more about the infamous putt and what led right after the infamous putt, but we just couldn't.
Yeah, that would have been.
I was ticking fast. Like,
I would have
Yeah.
loved to hear his rerun of the words used, how he remembers it. See what kind of language he would use on that one, but that would have been a good one.
Yeah, would have been nice, but you know what? It was amazing. And if you're listening to it in the car, just pause it, go to Danco Transmission and Auto Care, rewind it, and listen to it again while you get an oil change and $10 off the oil change and 10% off your next fixing. Danco Transmission and Auto Care. We love you, Danco Joe. Shouts as always. Chad, you wanna get that little quick paper supply read in, and
I do. Quick Paper Supply, your local and family-owned restaurant supply company for all your non-food products. They service over 150 restaurants with weekly low minimum next day deliveries. They provide a wide range of food service products, to-go containers, cups, custom printed products, eco-friendly, and much more. They also have cleaning and restroom supplies for all your janitorial needs. Call Nick, 513-470-2029, and reference Bearcats for 20% off your first month of purchases. All right, Riffing with Roy, your mailbag. Let's get out of here.
Ha! Yes, I agree. Well, we should definitely do my most favorite segment of all time. I missed it last week, very sadly, due to.
Are we going to do that now, or are we going to? Are we doing that now?
We're doing that now. We're doing it now.
You okay? You sure?
Absolutely.
All right. Fiercely independent and unabashedly innovative, New Riff produces award-winning bourbon, rye whiskey, and gin at their distillery in Newport, Kentucky. I wanted all the bourbon Saturday night.
Mm-hmm.
The Aquafire Tasting Room, located on the 3rd floor of the distillery, features cocktails, flights, and pours of New Riff's entire line of spirits, including rare, limited edition, and distillery-exclusive releases. Bearcat Journal listeners can save 50% on distillery tours when you use the code Bearcats24. For more information or to book a tour, visit newriffdistilling.com.
Boom.
All right. Let's start out with what's one Bearcat from the last 5 years that you would pick to fix this team?
5 years?
Yeah.
Trey
Well, let's
Scott,
do
I
10.
guess.
Let's do 10. We'll do 10.
Wow, 10.
I mean, it would be
More
nice
recent.
to have a Jaron Cumberland to throw the ball to and say,
Make
just
shots.
run some people over on your way to the basket and put the ball in there. That would be nice, but
Put your shoulder into somebody.
Gary Clark.
Sean Kilpatrick would be just outside of that range.
Yeah.
2015
2015 would be the freshman year. Sophomore year of Troy. So that's Gary's freshman year.
Yeah.
Senior year, Gary.
Kyle would be nice. Watching Toppin for Texas Tech was like watching like a clone of Kyle Washington in a lot of ways.
Right.
So that would be nice too.
I
But
think senior year Gary or junior year Jaron. I think those are the
two answers. Yeah.
Or Jake. Right? I mean,
yeah, but Jake kind of had that
Wasn't
same
aggressive.
Yeah,
right.
Jake didn't have a lot of dog in him, and this team needs
True.
a dog.
Yeah.
Needs a dog.
Jaron or Gary. I mean, but just Gary just affected the game in so many ways.
Right.
And he was a dog on the boards.
Landers is an interesting one because he did shoot
Can make his own shot.
41% from three, could create his own shot a little bit, at least had that like pump fake, relocate three that he was super accurate on. Landers isn't a bad suggestion.
You know, DeJulius kind of had that dog leader mentality in him. I mean, that's someone that kind of, yeah.
Darnell Wilkes.
Hey.
Senior DeJulius had that. Yeah, I agree, Ryan.
Maybe not as much offensive skill as Landers, but you know, he kind of had that fight, that grit to him.
Tari Eason, yeah. Darrow, nice. That'd be nice. Rob Banks, then, for sure.
Rob some fucking Banks.
Gotta earn it.
All right, next question. How much, if you guys need to pin it on one thing, do you think the issue is just straight up shot making or lack of offensive creativity?
I think it's toughness. I think it's grit. I think it's just this team doesn't dig in, like really dig in and make shit happen.
I agree
like
with that.
That's my biggest, like, I've been waiting. You know, we talked a bunch about like, oh, this team's coming off a loss, or this team's going to be angry. Like, when's this Cincinnati team going to be pissed off? Like, when are they going to play like it matters? Like they're fighting for something. And you know, the word that we've used since the start of conference play that quite honestly has annoyed the shit out of me, and I've been waiting to see this team break away from it, but they are very casual. They are very, very casual. All that stuff's great, Ryan. Shot making, running smooth offense. Like, yes, they need to get better in those areas. But in this league, none of it matters if you're just okay with the other team ripping off a 19-3 run and you're not like,
right.
You don't have to fight somebody, but you better be ready to fight somebody. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you better be ready to like put the dukes up. And instead, this team's just like, I'm a lover, not a fighter.
They're takers right now.
Yeah, they're takers. They're takers.
Yeah, like you're saying, Chad. Like when BYU was just hitting three after three after three, like you need someone to come hard, like through a screen and just be right in the guy's face constantly, and it just seemed like kind of like what you were saying. It was just, you know, kind of going through the motions at times. In that
they were okay
half.
with it.
And
they got dog walked, and they were just it wasn't that big a deal.
Right.
They're all right. We'll get them next time.
Someone like in the timeout getting in everyone's face and be like, listen, like we are getting worked by these guys that are just nailing threes in our face one after the other. Like it stops now. It stops now. And it just didn't seem like anyone
Brent
was there to do that.
In the second half, BYU / 76, 77, 77.
Right.
I've never fucking seen anything like that in my entire life.
You don't even see that in practice. Like it's just like truly just going through the motions.
The NBA All-Star game where nobody is trying to play defense against the best players in the world.
Yeah. Good question, Ryan.
It used to feel like a given that never seemed to be up for debate with Cincinnati basketball.
It was non-negotiable. Non-negotiable.
Yeah.
Now apparently it is negotiable to the tune of $500,000, $600,000, $700,000 a year.
Yeah,
it's negotiable.
Hey, AAU culture, man. It's hard.
Yeah, but I see, Ryan, I fought back against that some, because if I turn on my TV and I see other teams that are getting paid a lot of money, and those guys give a shit, right? Like, they dig in and they fight and they play their asses off. Auburn's got a nice NIL war chest. They're number one in the country because they're tough as shit, because they play hard. Like, I it's an excuse. I don't buy it as an excuse, because there are other teams that are dealing with guys that are getting paid, and they have figured out how not to just casually not give a shit.
I see. Yeah. The thing is, it never felt like that was the style of like this coaching staff. It felt like the style was like intense effort, toughness. So it's like, do you think that, the staff's losing the locker room, or the staff's losing their own identity, trying to like freak out about the shot making and lack of offense? They're kind of, taking their emphasis away on the things that really matter.
I think that is, and I talked about this some last week. I think that is like, this wasn't a matter of like, they just had to like tweak a thing or two on offense. They were terrible offensively over those first couple of weeks of Big 12 play. So then you have to spend a lot of time on it that you don't have. So then I do think that takes away from, and like, you're great at what you practice. If you stop practicing something to focus on something else, whatever you put on the back burner is going to look like it's on the back burner. Like, you can speak to that, I'm sure, over years of experience. Like, so I do think that's some of it, but that's only because they were so bad on offense that it had to get like, pinned at the top type attention.
Yeah, I agree. You'd
right
think
back to being bad at offense and defense on Saturday night. So
you'd think in the perfect world that's something that, attitude, toughness, kind of that grit, not letting teams just like steamroll you. That should be something that doesn't need to be like emphasized. But I don't know. I mean, you get in a slump and you start losing games. People start questioning, within the locker room, questioning like themselves, questioning like the team and like its direction. And, you gotta, they're spiraling right now, but they can get worse. And somehow, some way they have to just dig their heels in and fight out of it. But we just aren't seeing that fight.
Keith, I'm going to disagree with something here, because I've seen some of this like Mitchell's not the right fit for this team. Great player, but our half court took a hit adding him. He's not the right fit because Dan, Jizzle, and Seamas aren't playing well. Like, if those guys are playing well, Dylan Mitchell is a great fit for this roster. But because those guys are playing like ass 2 out of 3 games, there's nobody that would have been a great fit, because you need your 3 offensive guys to be on. At least 2 of them every given night. Go look around the league, and the teams that are winning, their best players play like their best players. So, yeah, Dylan looks like an awkward fit, but he would have looked like a great fit if those guys are playing well and he's still giving you 11, 12, 13 points and 7 rebounds every night to supplement those guys. Why he looks bad is because those guys are playing like ass, and now you're looking at him and going, well, why aren't you doing more? He wouldn't brought you to do more.
How many more rebounds would he get if Dan could rebound at all right now?
Right.
Yeah, I mean, like, if shots fall, then the defense has to react. And when the defense reacts, that opens up more slashing lanes. And that's where Dylan exceeds, rather than just throwing it to Dylan and having him go one-on-one, because literally no one else is able to score. It's just it's a giant mix of badness right now, which we're going to continue talking about in the next segment. But Ryan, did you have another question?
Yeah. So a more lighthearted football question. Build your all-time UC quarterbacks. You can take like arm of Gunnar Keel and like toughness of Dez or legs of so-and-so, but something like that.
Okay.
Leadership of Dez. Toughness of Zach Caleros.
Okay.
Do I go Pike or do I go Gunner for arm?
I think you got to go gunner arm. We got to use Pike for something else.
But what?
Height.
Height, Tony Pike.
Pike height.
I mean, Pike had a great arm, though.
Oh, he did.
Like,
He did.
a great arm. I'll go,
Maybe
because he won more, I'll go with the arm of Tony Pike.
maybe,
And also, because I've
IQ?
worked with him and I have to see him.
right. IQ of Tony Pike.
No,
No.
I'm not giving Tony Pike IQ. No.
I was trying to give him a little prop, a little prop here. Legs of Dez or Colaros? Probably Dez.
Yeah.
See, I'd go arm of Ben Mock over Gunnar Keel because it's bionic.
It's bionic. Yes, correct. Hair of Munchie. Yep, that's right. Hair of Munchie. Press conference swagger of Brendan Sorsby. He's always rocking the baseball cap, looking nice. Oh wow, Evan Prater legs. Okay, now we're talking. Yep.
Starting to sound a little weird. Brent just fawning over Evan's legs. Oh yeah, Evan's legs.
Well, Aaron's the calf guy, so
Come on.
I mean, who's got the best calves, Aaron?
Oh, come on.
Listen, Benny Coney calves. We can go with those.
Who's the guy that runs the training facility now? There was a quarterback here. I forget his name.
Coyne.
Yeah, Patrick Coyne.
Yeah.
Legs of Patrick Coyne.
Are you
all right, Chad?
Yeah, I don't know. I had a little. Just takes a second for it to
thinking
come
about
back.
the next segment, talking basketball.
Yeah, Luther Richardson's dad for best mentor.
Can get behind that. Yeah.
Yeah, does Ryan have extra eligibility? He did. He had a COVID year that he didn't use.
If there
would have been NIL, you would have used your extra year. You would have got some NIL cash, and you wouldn't have.
It would have had to been a good chunk to make up for the salary, and I don't know if I was pulling that in.
You technically still do, right? You technically still.
It expires after some amount of time. I don't remember.
I mean, Eliel Semi just came back after 3 years off.
Oh my God.
In Canada.
You know.
I'm really going to have to start hating my life here I mean, I love football. I just don't know if I don't even know what I would look like trying to run laterally or in a straight line right now.
It didn't look good before.
No. So that's what I'm saying. It's going to get even worse.
On-field swagger of Gino Gaduli. I can get behind that.
That's some on-field swagger. That was definitely some on-field swagger.
No, you've got your dad in the crowd too, in a pinch.
And look, if anybody wanted to get in a fight, Dave Gaduli was going to win.
We need to send the basketball team to his gym.
Let's
go throw the boxing gloves on and just figure it out.
Just fight each other.
Yeah,
just beat the shit out of each other right before a game.
We are not having an all players
black guys all over the place.
All players fight.
Yeah, we're going to Dave Gaduli's gym, throwing the gloves on, boys and girls.
We just solved everything right now. Yeah, we really get down to the bottom of shit.
We started with creating an all-time quarterback. We ended with fixing the basketball team. That's quite the
by having them beat the shit out of each other in a boxing gym.
Brent, remember when you and Ryan were texting while you were at the national championship game?
Yes,
do you remember that?
I do. That was the last quick question. Ryan was like, "Wow, dude, it's impressive you were able to go to this game because your friend randomly texted you on your way through Atlanta as you were driving down to Florida, and he said, 'Hey, man, I got an extra ticket. You want to go to the game?' And I said, 'Yeah.' And then you said, 'Well, dang, man, that's like a bucket list thing for me.' And I was like, 'Yeah, bro, bucket, man.' And you said, 'What is the number one sporting event that you would like to go to that your team is not in?' And I said, wow, that's quite the question, bro. I'm like sitting here. This is quite a spectacle, but let's save that question for the BBP. So, sporting event, future, that your team is not in, that you would most like to attend. That was the question, right, Ryan?
It was. Now I'm thinking.
Aaron?
Home run derby.
Oh, wow. I like that.
Close
Should be
second
fun.
to Kentucky Derby again because it's amazing.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I love the Indy 500, man. I tell you what, I never watched like a lap of the race because I'm always too busy doing other things. But the Indy 500, that is a spectacle in racing. But my pick would be the Masters. Would love to go. Would love to just experience it.
It's up there. It's up there.
Just be a part of it. And because my buddies have gone, they're like, wow, it's amazing. So just to experience that would be something.
Waste Management Open.
Oh yeah,
That seems like
Oh,
a
yeah.
Brent Young event.
I'm in. I'm in.
I'm trying to. There's got to be something similar to the Masters that we're not thinking of.
Like Wimbledon or the U.S. Open, tennis.
Maybe like the UEF. What is it? The UEFA League champion.
Yeah,
like that. Just go watch all the crazy fans play and like
That
one
could
of
be
those.
fun.
Yeah, that would
well,
be.
Dude, the
pretty
British
cool.
Open would be great. That shit looks cold. Like
Right,
that looks like
right.
a miserable experience.
Yeah, you get on one of those links courses. You're like, oh, this is not
Wet,
fun.
windy, like 50-mile-an-hour winds with rain blowing sideways.
Right.
I'm
right.
sure it would be great, but it looks miserable.
Yeah.
Wimbledon would be good.
Yeah, I just feel like any other like American like sports championships are they like the Super Bowl. It's like I don't know, or like the
It'd be
national
fun to go to the
championship.
Super Bowl though.
Yeah, but just like it just doesn't feel as like special as
Yeah.
you know, like the Master. It just the Masters is like kind of coveted. It's not even about money getting in. It's
You got to
like
win
you
the
have
lottery to get tickets.
Yeah.
They don't price gouge you with concessions and just
about
your entire existence.
Game 7 of a World Series, like a highly heated battle between two teams.
I don't have a dog in the race. I don't care.
Right. I mean, that's the best way to take in a game, though, is when you don't have a dog in the race. And
playoff hockey is one of the most fun things I've ever been. I went to a lot of the Blue Jackets playoff games. Dude, they are unreal, electric.
Yeah.
I like seeing a Stanley Cup final game would be awesome.
That would be fun.
For me, probably Final Four. Just
I
know a lot. You know, I'm gonna know a lot of people there, a lot of coaches there, a lot of people in and around the game of basketball. I think I would probably have my most fun at the Final Four.
Gosh, which brings us to our next segment, because it is hard to enjoy college basketball when your team struggles the way that we're struggling right now. But Ryan, that was amazing. You texting me, bro. Epic times, man. You made
so
my
epic.
enjoyment even better. Oh, even better. Gosh, there were a lot of Notre Dame fans that just they were loving having a Bearcat and a former lover of Marcus Freeman and all the coaching staff there in attendance. So Ryan, I said hello to all of them for you. They all said, well, yeah, we remember him. He's a great guy. So shouts.
Ricky, you got to blow your sources into the sun, brother. CJ Frederick doesn't have any more eligibility. He's out of eligibility after this year. Relax. Olympics would be cool.
Ooh, yeah.
That might because that's like 2 weeks, a lot of different like stuff. Like, Olympics might be number one. Summer Olympics? I'm not doing the Winter Olympics. I'm not doing the winter. It's cold.
No. I had a buddy, shouts Bucky Cooper. He went to the Olympics this past weekend, this past year. I mean, for his honeymoon. Great decision, great move. And yes, Crypt Keeper, you know already, right, Ryan? Golly, that's fun. All right, so
World Cup would be a lot of fun.
Yep.
I went to the Women's World Cup at the Rose Bowl back when I lived in LA. 99, I think, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, is that when they won it?
Yeah.
The first time?
Joe Burrow looks like he's having fun down at the Australian Open.
Yeah.
Well, that would be fun. To be Joe
But
Burrow
summer
at
there.
the Australian Open.
Summer
Absolutely.
there.
Yeah,
Have a great time.
absolutely. All right. Well, let's timestamp it. Let's do this next thing.
I don't really want to, but I mean, I guess that timestamp brought to you by Quick Paper Supply, your local and family-owned restaurant supply company for all your non-food products. They provide mostly disposable restaurant supplies, to-go containers, cups, pizza boxes, to-go bags, can liners, napkins. They've been open since 2009 and are one of the largest minority-owned companies in the city. Call Nick 513-470-2029 and reference Bearcats for 20% off your first month of purchases. Guys,
I love
enough with the JJ Rembert stuff. Like, it was funny last week.
Who's that?
We got to. He's a red shirt walk-on on the basketball team.
Yeah,
Sounds like my kind of guy.
Absolutely. Pass the
Enough,
torch.
guy. I don't want to have to put you guys in timeout, but I will.
He goes to Top Cats too. He's a legend.
Yeah.
Absolute legend. Man, that's my favorite segment right there, ripping with Royer. Oh, I gotta head out, guys. I'm heading to a basketball game. You can take it from here, Chad. I got
Yeah.
local event.
I'll get you with I'll Tanya Harding your ass the next time I see you, sir.
80 to 52. 80
Oh,
to
so this is what Chad was avoiding.
I don't want to do this.
Boy, oh boy, 80 to 52, man. And that is a tough loss to a team that was not even considered an NCAA tournament team heading into it. And the BYU Cougars, kind of one of those where all of a sudden they obviously the second half was the monster reason why that they were able to not only win the game but win the game. That pushes the Bearcats down to 12-7 on the season, 2-6 in the Big 12. I'm just going to throw out some stats at you guys, just real fast. Through conference play, Cincinnati is 249th in college basketball in adjusted offensive efficiency, worst in the Power 5. They're yet to play Houston, who's the number one adjusted defensive efficiency in conference play. Iowa State, who's 6th. West Virginia, twice, who's 32nd. Baylor, who's 35th. BYU, who they just played, was 69th. That was before they put on a defensive clinic. And Utah, who they play tomorrow night, is 77th. 3-point percentage, shooting 25%. So here's these teams. Kennesaw State, Western Michigan, Stephen F. Austin, St. John's somehow, some way, NJIT, Old Dominion. Those are the only 6 teams that are shooting a worse percentage from beyond the arc during conference play. Free throw rate's horrible. Pretty much the slash is just horrendous towards the opponents. And, of course, out-rebounding. The opponents are out-rebounding the Bearcats in 6 straight games, and that is 6 out of the 8 conference games, obviously. And in a lot of those, they are dominating the boards as well. And this was supposed to be a dominant rebounding team coming into the season. Everyone saw that. And Chad, you and Dave went back and forth about that on the BCJ pod. But on paper, 100%, this should have been a plus rebounding team.
They were number 1 in offensive rebounding in the Big 12 last year.
Right. No, exactly. Yeah.
Number 1.
Exactly.
They were better than Houston on the.
Right.
They got more of a higher percentage of their misses on the offensive glass than Houston did last year.
Exactly. One last thing. Guys, can you tell me how many 20-plus point scoring games that players on the Bearcats have had this season? How many? Through what? We're at
2?
How many games now? 19.
0?
Games. Through 19 games, how many times has one player scored 20 points or more?
0.
The answer is 1. And it was in game 1 against Arkansas Pine Bluff. Seamus Lukosha scored 20 points. After that, no one has scored.
For some reason, I thought he hit it in one of the other hot games he had in like his Remember that first 6 games, he was shooting like 70%.
Yeah.
I thought he
missed
did
that.
one other time, but yeah, that was
For
nice. I do
comparison's
remember
sake, last season there were 16 different occurrences where a player scored 20 points or more in a single game. I guess my whole wrap up of the matter is, what the heck is going on? How could everyone be so absolutely wrong about a lot of facets of this team going into the season? Because right now it's truly not making too much sense. If you're
It's
asking,
forcing it. I think everyone's feeling the pressure of the offense sucking, and they're all trying to like will themselves and like the team out of it. And I think the pressure is just bearing down on everyone's confidence. Everyone's shooting fundamentals. Like they can't put the ball in at any level from the hoop. So that's what I think.
I mean, Jizzle's at what, 5% from 3?
Yeah.
In Big
I
12
mean,
play?
during conference play, yeah,
Eh.
it's not good at all. I do have a
bad misses too. Like they're not even close.
I think it's
He is,
far deeper.
He's at
I think it's far
8%. Sorry, go ahead.
I think it's far deeper than what Ryan's talking about. It just doesn't look like these guys are putting in any extra work whatsoever. It doesn't look like they have made any progression anywhere. I don't know that you can look anywhere on this entire roster, and outside of Aziz making maybe a slight step forward, where else have you seen progression on this roster from last season? Now, Dylan, we didn't get to see here, and maybe Dylan's taking a lateral move or
Pretty
maybe
similar guy, pretty similar numbers wise from what he was at Texas.
So a lateral step, but everyone else has regressed, not stayed on par, but regressed. So to me, it just simply looks like guys who don't put in any additional work outside of practice. If they're not taking games seriously, you can't imagine they're actually taking practice seriously. Like,
but this, to be fair, this isn't the time that you're getting a whole lot of extra work in.
Sure.
That time is in the summer.
Yes.
And I don't necessarily think it happened there like it should have. I think there was maybe too much of a belief of like, we were close last year and we're going to be better this year. And in order to get there, get your ass in the gym. Like, I've heard nothing but great things about Jizzle's off-season program, like what he does with his trainer in the summer, whether he's in town or not. But if you expect to jump up into that level of like the best players in the Big 12, one of the 2 or 3 best conferences, the past 5 years, the best conference in America, if you expect to make that jump, it can't be, hey, look, here's a TikTok video of me working out. And then when you get your TikTok video, you get a couple jumpers up and you head home. Like, it has to be work. Like, talk to Sean Kilpatrick about the type of work that they put in the gym over the summer at 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. Like, drenched in sweat. Not doing it for likes or recognition. Getting in there because you knew that's what you had to do to get better.
Who was it that we had on? Was it Steve Logan and DeMar where they talked about stealing the key to the gym and were breaking into the gym all night long just to get extra reps and get extra work in? Like they stole the key to the fucking gym.
Or you had like a manager or somebody that you would get access, like they would be allowed, have the code or whatever. You would call the manager and they would meet you there and open it up. Like, I got a sense that potentially like the desire to be great sounds good, but the work to get there is a lot. And that work generally, Ryan can attest to this because he was around a lot of dudes that took themselves from good to great. Those dudes worked nonstop, constantly to get to where they are right now. If they did the work and it's not showing up, they didn't do the right work.
Are you guys saying you don't think they put in the work? Is that what you're
I'm saying I don't necessarily. It doesn't look like it, right? Because this
Yeah.
is when the
Not
work
as-
shows up.
Not as
This
much
is
as
when the
everybody
work
else.
shows up.
Yeah, and I'll counter with I don't like I think last game just getting steamrolled, like really not digging our heels in and having any fight. I don't do you guys feel like that's been something we've noticed throughout the whole season? Or do you feel like this is a more recent
They've never given up the way they waved a white flag in Provo. Like
Yeah,
legitimately.
that
Yeah.
hasn't been. But I'm talking about the shooting has been bad, Ryan.
Yeah,
The-
and I'm
the-
wondering I think I mean I played basketball not at a high level, but I played it and I know that you can get in slumps shooting, and I'm wondering if it's just one of these outlier
I wondered that too,
slumps.
Ryan. For a while, we're at 8 games, man.
I know, and
We're at 40% of the Big 12 schedule. I'm done thinking it's gonna get back on track.
We can add the 3 games against the teams with a pulse in the non-conference too, where they didn't.
Yeah, they
show
shot like
much
shit against
offensively
Villanova,
against
X, and Dayton.
Villanova, Xavier, and Dayton. It's just
I'm just trying to see if there's any value to that statement that we're just in a historic slump, or if we really regress because we didn't care enough. So just trying to open it up.
Just remember, Dan shot 28% from 3 last year. Jizzle shot 28% from 3 last year. Day shot 28% from 3 last year. So while this is a slump, it's not that far off. Like the Jizzle thing is an anomaly. Like he's not that bad of a 3-point shooter, but he's not good at it. This is not a 40, a guy with a 40% season on his record shooting, like having a bad stretch of games. This is a guy that wasn't a good shooter that's having a bad stretch of games. I think there was, and this is probably something you can put plenty of blame on the staff. We talked about this when we were doing our season previews, Brent.
Yeah.
Do they have enough spacing? Do they have enough shooting? When you have your best 5 guys on the floor, is CMOS your only real threat to stretch the defense?
right.
And it has turned out those guys that they anticipated to take a jump have not taken a jump. In fact, they've gotten worse.
Everyone's
And
gotten worse,
right.
too.
yeah, so like
Even CMOS.
I'm done. Like I'm done looking at this and saying these guys are going to get on track, because there's nothing that says they're going to be good shooters to begin with.
Yeah, we
So-
were banking on them being better.
Better
And they-
shooters, not
yeah.
even significantly better, but just marginally better,
Which is
bumping up to like 33, 34%.
Even
not
the
an
same.
unfair expectation, though. That's how college basketball normally works. Is that you do progressively get better in shooting.
Right.
That should not be just like an innate thing that just happens, and then all of a sudden, I do think confidence, and I do think everything else that's going off court and everything of this, that, and the other also adds to it. It's just. I think there's a lot of different factors going on, and it's just kind of combining.
But Brent, they were bad shooters to begin with.
I agree completely. But like you're saying, it's not that crazy to expect them to shoot 2 to 5% better. Like
Right.
nothing like
Or the
10 to
same.
15% better.
Even
No,
even
well,
the even the same would be fine
But
right now.
we knew 28% wasn't going to be good enough from those main guys. Like we understood that. We talked about that with the understanding of if these guys can get to 32, 33, 34%, it will drastically improve the flow on the offense. And instead, they've gone the other way. And now, like, I know everybody, like, the offense sucks. The offense is going to suck if you can't shoot. That is college basketball. That is basketball in 2025. If you can't shoot, they're going to do what BYU did. Everybody's going to have a foot in the paint, and they're just going to say, look, if you make shots, like, okay, but we're going to bet that you can't because we know you can't. You haven't made shots against anybody. Dare you. Good luck.
Yeah.
By the way, we're going to go make 77% of ours on the other end.
I agree with what Aaron's saying though. Like if we even shot, we were shooting bad, like our guys were like shooting bad, so to say, last year. If we shot at that clip this year, I think there's games where we're gonna win. It's just that we've been that bad that we're losing even more. So is that what you're trying to say, Aaron?
We've been dog shit.
Yeah, if we just kept on pace with bad and guys didn't even improve, I think, which is like nowhere near what we thought we were going to be getting. And we can't, and if we even had that at this point, we'd feel like, we might have 2 more conference wins. But here we are.
Yeah. The whole thing for me also on top of it is like you played Texas Tech pretty well. Defensively, obviously you gave up way more. Offensive, you showed some flashes.
Scored 70.
Half, yes.
Right.
In the first half, yes.
Aaron, we hit that 70.
So at Baylor, at Baylor, we got our butt kicked. Wes said everyone gets their butt kicked sometimes. Everybody goes through bad stretches. All best things.
Yeah, but you're getting your butt kicked a lot.
From moments where we struggle to figure it out. What's that?
How many times does Wes have to say we need to play 40 minutes? You haven't played 40 minutes all fucking season.
No, I know, that's what I'm saying. So and then Saturday night happens, and then Wes said it's a part of college basketball. Teams get their asses kicked. It happens.
What else
it's happening more to us,
say?
and I'd like it to happen. We'll respond. We have a group of kids that won't give in. So it kind of just makes the feeling of if you were able to fight in these games and not get blown out, and I understand blowouts do happen. Every team has gone through them, but it just seems like the losses have been like losses. It's not like you fight and you grind and then you lose by 6.
What you mean is it's not like last year where 3-point game, 5-point game,
Exactly.
2-point game, 6-point. Like if they lost by 6 last year, it felt like they took it on the chin a little bit. Like they were in everything. They're not in anything. They were better than Colorado and Arizona State barely. And those are the 2 teams tied for Cincinnati in last place.
In last year, I felt like there were games we didn't even feel like we had a chance to keep it within 10. And we were like, it was going down to the last couple possessions to win.
Yeah.
And it's now like it's completely regressed this year, just like the shooting we were talking about.
Right. You say, Wes, that you read his quote and all that. The only other thing Wes can say in that situation is to go what Mick Cronin just did 2 weeks ago. And we all made fun of Mick Cronin for what he did 2 weeks ago, where he just said, it's the players suck. I don't know what to tell you. The players suck.
They also, I think, have won like 3 out of their last 4.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
there's nothing he can say.
You can either go scorched earth or you can say this team's going to go get better. It's 2 options.
Just got to be accountable and hopeful. Believe, and just talk about believing in your guys. That's all you can do. It drives fans insane because we just want some kind of response. We want some excuse. We want some like passionate kind of different angle from him. But like, there's nothing he can say that's gonna like fix how we feel in that moment.
Yeah.
There's no magic elixir.
No, there's not. Especially 19 games into the season. You're not going to find some sort of special potion that changes things. But, it's still a thing like tomorrow night. Utah's not great. But could Utah easily go in and kind of have the great shooting night and put on a little bit of a display defensively that then stifles us and all of a sudden it's another loss? Yes. But in the same sense, it's like we've seen the talent on this team. And I think matched up talent-wise, strictly on paper, coming into the season, this was an easy game for Cincinnati to win. Now all of a sudden we're this far into the season and it's not. I mean, I haven't seen the line come out yet, but I'm sure
+1.
Utah's going to be favored. It's just
Utah's favored by 1.
By 1, yeah. It's the whole thing is just it's extremely confusing, and you saw BYU throw out a zone. And for a couple of possessions, it looks like the Bearcats didn't really know what to do. It was a pass around the perimeter for 20 23 seconds, and then Seamas fires up a deep three, and then the next play it's a pass to Aziz in the high post. And Chad, do you like Aziz in the high post against that 2-3 zone? I feel like
I'd prefer him in the dunk spot, but I don't know who you put. I mean, Seamas, I
right.
guess. But then
Seamas
you
or
don't have
Dan,
any shoot. But if you put
right.
Seamas in the middle,
then yeah,
who's
no
the
one to kick
shooter?
it out to. Right.
So I don't know. Like right now, I don't know there's a good answer, Brent. And until guys start playing better, none of it matters.
Right. Well, because Aziz isn't going to turn and shoot a free throw line jumper. It just
No.
I don't know.
He's got the height to see over his zone, though, to at least move the ball. But I would probably have him in the dunk, like the soft spot of the zone, the weak opposite corner, over having him at the free throw line. But who do you put there? Dylan, I guess.
Even still, they're not going to give any respect to Dylan turning and shooting, so they're going to sag off. I don't know. Dan, I guess, and just go small. I don't know. It's just like you said, it's hard to find a lot of answers, but there are some things that are effort related, and that's not getting beat in the last 6 games on the boards. Going after those 50-50 balls, fighting through screens, and being right there when the opponent catches the ball, setting strong screens as well. There's just so many small things that could improve your chances to win the game that obviously just have not happened over the last handful of games. But tomorrow night brings on Utah, and I guess we can just do a quick thought on Utah and what needs to happen, and what then has to then see what could possibly. I mean, what you have Utah, which is obviously pretty much a toss-up game. Then you go West Virginia at home on Sunday, at UCF, which is a very familiar opponent, and then you have back-to-back home games with BYU and Utah. So it's a scenario time where if you're going to start winning, you got to start now. So tomorrow night is when it could begin. What's your guys' pulse, Chad and Aaron? You guys do the Big 12 recap every week, and obviously you got a good pulse on Utah. Has plenty of players that are familiar to Cincinnati. So what's thoughts leading into the game tomorrow night?
The only thing we need to know is what is the combined point total for the Madsen twins?
Shit!
Because,
I forgot about that. Just more fun added to this with our boys operating at a 10 p.m. tip. Just a lot of fun, just making this even worse.
Yeah, and you can add in Ezra Sarr, who was at ECU, who we played against. You can add in Mike Shara. I'm not even going to try that last name, but he was at Dayton. Yeah, Dayton a few years ago. So I'm sure some people.
The Mongolian Menace.
Yeah. So here we are.
I think the first Mongolian college basketball player, like in history.
Yeah, what they call him, the Mongolian Mamba or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like Mongolian barbecue. That's delicious.
Some tasty stuff right there. Real tasty.
Big fan of Mongolian barbecue.
Aaron, what you got?
I don't think that this team beats any other team the rest of conference play, not named Kansas State, Oklahoma State, or TCU. So I think they got 5 in them this conference play, and
I think Utah's worse than all 3 of those teams.
Yeah, Utah's technically the second. Arguably the second or third worst team in the Big 12, whichever way you slice it. So
coming off what just happened against BYU, I don't expect them to win.
Well, if UCF is scoring like 90 points a game, it might take 80 minutes for UC to keep up with UCF's offense right now.
Even still, it's a familiar team. I know there's just so much that it's just so strange. The same the same players from last year. I don't know. It is very hard to wrap my mind around what's going on.
It's not fun.
No, it's
It's not fun.
not fun to talk
The
about.
dread over a full hour of real time that we had to go live after that game was something.
Yeah, I
Watching that whole second half, knowing that we had to talk about when Wes talks about the naysayers that they're going to prove wrong one day, he's talking about me though. Like, call a spade a spade.
He doesn't watch our show.
I know that. I'm well aware he's not watching this, but I'm just saying I'm one of the naysayers. Like, I'm with everybody who doesn't expect anything of this team.
Yeah. I mean, I just it's probably the Aaron's favorite thing about me, the optimist in me, the delusional optimist in me. I just, even when I know I shouldn't, it's like, gosh, I've watched Utah play a lot of games this year, and they are not some otherworldly beast of a team.
No, they're not good.
No, and Cincinnati still has, I don't know, they've got to figure some things out, and who knows, maybe a little three-night stay in Utah where the mountains talk to you. Maybe they start talking to them a little bit and come out on the other side. Who knows?
Wolfie, UCF is 4-4 in conference, right?
Yes. Looking at it right now.
They beat Texas Tech. They did not beat Kansas.
Almost beat Houston.
Yeah, they beat UCF. They beat Colorado. They beat Arizona State. They almost beat Houston. They also did not beat Iowa State, but they beat TCU, and they're scoring a bunch of points. We are not in a position to be talking shit about anybody really at this point in this conference.
Nobody.
Yeah, I see what Wes and Co can draw up tomorrow, and light a fire completely underneath, and see what comes out, because 10 p.m. at Utah, it's going to be them and the Utes facing off. That's it. I mean, it's going to be roll the ball out. Let's see what happens.
By myself. Don't want to play all by my.
And I'll be watching at the Huntsman Center. 15K allowed, but
15K allowed, 15 in attendance.
Although it says home court advantage 4.3, fifth in D1. I don't know what that means, but
if it's full, there ain't a lot to do out there. Unless you go skiing, that's about it.
Good point. That's a good point. Well, that's all I got, man. We should probably just do the.
We had to do. Yep, a whole hour of that.
Yeah. Quick Paper Supply. Call Nick 513-470-2029. Reference Bearcats for your 20% off your first month of purchases of all your food service products. There you go. Let's mailbag it and get the hell out
baby.
of here.
Let's mailbag it.
There we go. Okay. First question coming from the football portion of the mailbag, as we always do. Who does Coach Satterfield expect to battle for offensive tackle, and does anyone have the upper hand based on this past season / practice and so forth? Obviously, we can't ask him. He's not here. But, Chad, who do you think?
I don't know at tackle, man. I mean, it's going to be fascinating when we get to spring.
He did mention Noah Latalupe.
Yeah, he did. So if they can get some pounds on him, that's a possibility. Ethan Green is a possibility. Buford is back and has played some tackle, so that's a possibility. It's that's the big question, because look, I don't think, like, because we never really had to talk about him, people just don't click on how good of a season John Williams had at left tackle.
He did. Yeah.
I mean, he was outstanding. So that's a big hole to fill. And they're going to get a chance to look at it in the spring. And if they don't like what they see, they will have a chance to go try to find somebody in the portal. But that is really probably, I would say that's the number one spot you have to hit internally. Because it is just, I mean, there were guys that either had playing time but played really poorly, or guys that had never really gotten on the field at their previous schools that were looking for $600,000, $700,000,
And
with either a bad track record or no track record, and got it. People paid it. So you have to hit internally at that spot. We'll see. It's going to be an interesting one in the spring, because we know they don't have like a freak on the edge. Mm-hmm. So if they're getting pressure on the quarterback, on the tackles, it's going to be uncomfortable all the way through Camp Higher Ground.
I know Tio played both guard and tackle at Ball State. Do you think he plays tackle potentially?
There's a reason guys play guard and tackle, Aaron, and it's usually because they're not good enough to play tackle.
Yeah, I know.
And sad
if you can play tackle, you generally stick at tackle. You don't move inside and outside when you can play tackle. Am I wrong on that, Ryan?
You are not.
If you can play tackle, you're a tackle. If you can't play tackle, you're a tackle and a guard.
In case of emergency.
And you know what? Before we go any further, because I was in sad boy hours during that basketball talk, I wanted to really quickly mention, go the full circle back to my intro and mention how a Big Mac and some fries can cure all. Sean Abayev, guys, we got to give a quick shout out. Sean Abayev officially announced as a McDonald's All-American. I don't know if you knew that, Ryan, but yeah, it's big time. He joins Roger McClendon, Damon Flint, Antonio Wingfield, Danny Fortson, Kenny Satterfield, DeMar Johnson, and Lance Born-Ready Stevenson as McDonald's All-Americans on the men's side. And then, of course, D. Alexander, the same thing on the women's side. So shouts to that. Quick thoughts on
you're missing 4 McDonald's All-Americans.
I'm missing 4.
There's 12.
I was just reading off the names listed on the Go Bearcats right up.
Wes said he was the 12th McDonald's All-American at UC.
Huh. Maybe that. But hey, I mean, Sean Abayev, he would be a good addition to the team right now. Shot maker, shot creator, length.
You couldn't wait until we were in the basketball portion of the mailbag for that?
I didn't know if there was a question in the basketball portion of the mailbag. I wanted to bring it up because I'm excited about it, and it makes me happy boy hours instead of sad boy hours, Aaron. Can you not let me have happy boy hours for a second?
Yeah. We're talking about football.
Okay. Next question.
Goodness. Does the fact Wes
on to the basketball portion?
Well, this is about Sat, actually. Does the fact Wes is failing epically in year 4 give Sat more grace given he is going into year 3, or does it put more pressure on Sat to perform if AD Cunningham decides to clean house?
There's pressure to win. There's always pressure to win. That's how this works.
Goodness gracious. That's the football portion of the mailbag. Anything else you got for the basketball portion before we get into it, Brent?
Just here for happy boy hours, man. Here for happy boy.
All right. Well. Chad, how can Wes continue to be so stubborn and not change his lineup? Press.
I don't work in that department.
Substitution pattern, coaching in prime time, last 4 minutes, and lack of improvement of players.
I don't work in that department.
Oh, Chad, real quick. You are kind of correct. or West, I guess is kind of correct. So Keith Legree, James White, Mike Williams, Dylan Mitchell. So they originally started somewhere else collegiately. They
But
were
also
all
played
McDonald's
here.
All-Americans.
Okay.
So they
That
weren't
makes
technically Cincinnati signees as McDonald's All-Americans, but yes.
And Aaron, Doc acknowledged that he knew I wasn't going to answer this question. You should read that part.
Well, it's not even up on the board anymore. It's already been taken down. So I couldn't
I didn't
even
take it down.
I
He was just venting.
I just cut and paste 200 characters, and then that's what I got until I go back and read. All right. Is this Bearcat team the most disappointing / underperforming team in relation to talent in the past 40 years?
That first Brandon year with Jaron and Trey and Keith.
they were still tracking to be right there to get in, but yeah, it was definitely frustrating.
I mean, most of the bracket matrix stuff had them out. Like they were going to need to have a run at
Couple
the
games,
at the
yeah.
AAC tournament. Yeah,
I mean, they were the 1 seed, right, in the AAC
they
tournament.
by tiebreaker they would have been
They
the 1
beat
seed.
Houston,
Yeah.
yeah. I would say so far this one probably
I mean, Mick's 4th year
with Lance, yeah.
with Lance and Deontay, Yancey.
Right.
That's and then Andy's year with, Hicks and that crew, James White, Armin Kirkland, Devin Downey. They didn't make the tournament. That was whether you think they got screwed or not, they did, but
did.
that was
I cried.
underperforming.
Yeah.
That was underperforming.
And Ricky Slack,
So-
no, I have no idea what you're talking about. So no.
Just ignore the chat. If they're not gonna act right, I just turned the chat off.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean so far, because I mean preseason AP poll, they got all the way up to number 8 in KenPom earlier this year. I mean just all those the 10-1 non-conference slate.
Yeah. It's
all
up
of
there.
it kind of adds up to right now. The spiral is making it the most disappointing, underperforming as well.
I think it's also like it happened so fast, right? Like, look, yeah, they weren't great offensively against Villanova, Dayton, and Xavier, but they went 2-1, and we have seen plenty of teams win a lot of games while not playing great offense here.
Yeah,
and then it just feels like we keep waiting for this team to hit bottom, and they are still free falling down a well. So that, that makes it tough.
mm-hmm.
Makes it tough.
All right. I missed a couple apparently. Was there any bigger flop in men's basketball history at UC after the big offseason hype for Coach Wes Miller and this year's team?
That's the same question. Just different
No.
words.
Well,
yes, it is.
It is the same question.
It's the exact same question with different words.
Again, I just cut and paste.
Okay, well, you should read it. Try that.
What would you consider the biggest factor leading to the disappointing start of league play, and can it be corrected?
The guards have been really bad, and I thought for a while it could be corrected, but after 8 straight games of this, I don't know that I'm in that camp anymore.
Yeah. Just lack of overall just shot making leads to lack of confidence, which leads to then not giving full effort in other areas. I mean, it's just a snowball effect at this point.
It's bad. It's bad.
Does the current negative feeling surrounding the basketball program harken back to 1983 under Tony Yates when the team finished 3-25 and 0-14 in conference play?
No, because they won 10 games out of conference, not 3. And they are already incapable of going winless in conference play. Also, how the fuck would I know? It was 1983. I was 6.
I was -1.
Royer was like -15.
Exactly right, Chad. Great math.
Wow, impressive.
Chad,
How would I know?
How much can this be attributed to the staff's failure to identify proper roles for their talent, like Dan Skilling's playing the 2-3 on offense and then guarding other shooting guards? I could go down the list, but it feels like a theme with this roster. Or is it simply the staff's inability to develop their talent?
Dan's been playing the 2-3 his entire time here. He's never I don't understand this notion that people think Dan has played the 4. I had this argument 100 times last year. He's never played the 4 here. He's played the 2 and the 3. He's guarded the other team's shooting guards a lot. Like, that's not something new. So it's worked. Like, that's the most puzzling thing about all of this is so much of this worked last year and doesn't work now. The same things that were functional last year are not functional anymore. And that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So, like, that's the frustrating part about it is we have seen proof of concept. We have seen these things be relatively successful, and now they're not at all. They're a failure. So that's the hardest part to, like, grasp in all of this. You know?
All right. 247 updated their recruiting rankings last week with Bayev coming in at 28, 25th composite, and Tillery at 52, 51st composite. Both are 4 stars. Have you heard how strong this class is in comparison to recent others? Appears a few elite prospects have reclassified into this class, so I'm assuming it's a pretty strong class.
Strong class. I mean, there's 4 or 5 really, really good talents at the top. Boozer and Debanza, Nate Ament is really good. There's some opportunity for some big time guys at the top, and I think there's some depth. I mean, I think if I went through the top 30, I could probably find a couple kids that I am not as high on as the national evaluators. But for the most part, this is not, 2 years ago we were looking at that class, and in most years, like Isaiah Collier would have been a solid, like, early teens ranked 5-star. And in that class, he was the number 1 player in the class because they just couldn't, there wasn't anybody that was like, oh, that's the dude. So I think it's a good class. Like, it's a strong class. And it's got a little bit of depth too.
I don't know if I like him being called LaShawn in reference to LeBron, but
it started with the whatever league, the OTE league guys just being having fun and goofing off. They're entertaining. Like, that's the whole job, is to get people to come to their YouTube page, watch and subscribe. So it's another one of those things. There's going to be incredible pressure from everybody on the outside placed on this kid. And the first time he hits a 2-game shooting slump, everybody's going to want to run him the fuck out of town and say he's not worth the money that they paid him.
Can't wait. Am I a prisoner of the moment, or does it look like this team's ceiling in the league is 5-15? Same page.
I mean, I was in the prisoner of the moment book a week or 2 ago. I'm going to need to see like 3-4 wins over these next 5 games, because after that, it gets kind of heavy again towards the back end. If you can't get 4 or 5 wins in these next 5, 5-15 isn't a wild piece of speculation. And then that would be 15-16. That would be a losing season, and that would not go over well after starting 10-1.
Woof.
Yeah.
Over under 5 players on this year's team being on the 25-26 roster.
I'm not ready to start having those conversations yet. You guys are more than welcome. I'm not doing that.
Under.
If I do that, it's going to get, you guys know, every time I say something, Somebody just said they watched our aftermath and came up with 750 words on their takeaways from watching it that neither of us said at any point in time in the entire show.
What does that even mean?
Here are my takeaways from watching Chad and Aaron on the
Ooh.
aftermath Saturday night.
All right, 750 characters after watching.
No words.
Oh my god!
It's like this big. It's like I got to scroll down on the message board to read it all.
Did they? Oh, where is it? Is it on the
On
board?
the message board. Yeah.
Oh, I can't wait. After this
It's in
show,
one
I
of the
can't
threads, but
can't wait
they
to
didn't start
jump
their
into
own
that
thread,
one.
But yeah, like so. If I say something like this,
Well, I say under, and I don't think it's going to be close.
so you think they're going to have to go get more than 10 players new for next year's roster?
You got 2 coming in.
Those count as new.
Yeah, it might be that bad.
Okay.
You finish 15 and 16 after being 10 and 1. I think anything's on the table.
It's a lot.
Brent,
It's a lot.
I have no idea. I'd rather not talk about that kind of stuff. I think we go on a little winning streak. Come on, be positive, guys. Let's go.
Brian?
so you're over. Not hard.
I don't even know either. I'm just praying to God we can win tomorrow. I don't even want to know.
Me too.
I'm just.
And I'm not really a big God guy, but you're up there.
Help
Yeah.
me. Help us.
Yeah.
All right. I'd also be interested in what you guys know or have heard about the guys on this year's team's work ethic outside of Wes Miller controlled practices, etc. Have they been putting in the time on their own to get better? We kind of started the basketball segment talking about that.
Was that speculation?
Anything I talk about is largely speculation.
Interesting.
I mean, I'm not, from what I've seen, the guys work hard, like at workouts, at practice. I do question, especially in basketball, like this is when that shows up. This is when that work shows up. And if you didn't put it in, this is also when it shows up. So that's just a broad generalization of how basketball typically works.
All right. Prediction time. What will Sean Abayev give this team next year? Since we can't score this year, let's just predict minutes and points per game.
He'll be a freshman. He'll be inconsistent. He'll have some games where everybody thinks he is going to be first team All Big 12. And he will have some games where everybody wants to fire him into the sun and say that he sucks. Points per game, 11, 12. Like
Lance averaged 12.3.
Yeah.
Sounds
and
great.
Lance was Big East. Lance was Big East Rookie of the Year. Freshman of the Year. So 24 minutes, 12 points a game.
There with you.
So
maybe
about what CMOS is averaging right now. I think he's at 12-3, 25.
Yeah.
Is it safe to say the shot doctor did not pan out like we hoped?
Sure.
I mean, Day Thomas, he is 16 of 44. That's 36.4%.
Yeah, they're the worst shooting team in the country.
After he was 35 of 125. So
after the last month, in the last month, they are literally the worst 3-point shooting team in America.
Yeah, I that was one of the stats I rattled off. There's only six teams worse in the new year, in the 2025 calendar year.
Yeah. and none of them are
Other,
good.
other than Cincinnati, Houston, and Salt Lake are the only Big 12 cities which have 3 or more major professional sports teams in addition to the college program in town. Most Big 12 cities don't have any. To what extent does this provide athletic departments and NIL collectives in those cities with a built-in advantage as far as ability to raise money, build facilities, capture sports dollars, etc., that UC will always struggle to overcome? And does this speak to a bad fit for UC in the Big 12 overall?
What's the good fit? If the Big 12's a bad fit, what's the good fit? Because there's a bunch of college towns in the ACC. It's almost all college towns in the SEC. It's almost all college towns in the Big 10. So what's the good fit? Is it different because there's just not a lot of like major metropolitan area colleges? Yes. Is it a challenge because you have the Reds and the Bengals and FC Cincinnati and Xavier to compete with? Yes. But what's the alternative? If not the Big 12, where? The ACC? I mean, I guess I'm sure if given the ultimate choice behind closed doors, Cincinnati probably would have hitched their wagon to the ACC a long time ago, because you do have Pitt and Louisville and West Virginia and some institutions that are similarly minded. But the ACC didn't pick Cincinnati. So, I mean, yeah, nothing's perfect. Nothing's ideal. That's life. You got to make the best out of what you got. You also could argue none of those other places in the Big 12 have Fortune 500 companies just littered around the city because they're in the middle of nowhere. So is that an advantage to Cincinnati that the small college towns don't have?
Unless you're in Fayetteville, Arkansas.
What really Cincinnati doesn't have that's a major detriment is a multi-billion-dollar well-heeled booster that is willing to pay for everything.
Right.
That's the part that's missing. That's the part that's missing.
Yeah.
More than anything.
Right.
I mean, yeah, is it tougher? Sure, it's tougher. You got major sports in your town. But
I know Bearcats 2025. I was just saying a city. But yeah, it's for me, it's like you're saying, you can have all the things you want around you, but you just need one or two big guys, and that's all it is. It's not like pro teams are taking away this or that. I mean, when it comes to big money, it's just you can help a pro team and you can help another team.
Like Oklahoma State wasn't getting a bunch of money from the companies that T. Boone Pickens owned. They were getting a bunch of money from T. Boone Pickens, right? Like Arkansas is not getting a bunch of money from Walmart. They're getting a bunch of money from the Walton family that owns Walmart.
Yeah.
So if any of you want to make $5-6 billion, then come back and, give $50 million a year to the Bearcats. That would be great.
Yeah. Just maybe don't do it the way that Lex Wessner did it.
I don't care how you do it. There's no rules anymore. There's no rules anymore.
That's a good
walk one back, Chad.
That's going to solve the laws. Really excited. The Bearcats have an incoming McDonald's All-American in Sean Abayev. What does Wes Miller need to do to the roster to ensure Sean has the best chance to succeed and be the high major impact player he is in what should be his only year of collegiate ball?
First off, stop with that. Stop with that. Stop. There is nothing in his profile that indicates he is a surefire one and done. Nothing. Nothing. Top 10 guys are surefire one and dones. Sean Abayev is hanging out around 25 to 30. Yeah. Does he want to be a one and done? Yeah. Dan Skillings also thought he was going to the NBA after this year. You got to come in and prove it. You got to earn it. So there's nothing in his profile. I'm going to cut that off at the pass right now.
Right.
There's nothing in his profile that says this kid is a surefire, can't miss, one and done prospect. He is a really, really, really good offensively talented basketball player that can help Cincinnati.
Right.
That does not necessarily like VJ Edgecombe has a one and done, can't miss profile. Look where he was ranked. Look where Sean is ranked. One of those things is not like the other.
And you know what? If Sean is deservedly so a one and done, like it really is like a reason for him to leave, that means things went really well.
Things were great.
But as of right now, no, he's not. He's on radars, but not for like the 2026 draft. It's for down the line.
What does Wes Miller need to do? Get players that play well. Because right now he doesn't have that. Get players that consistently play well night in and night out in conference play. If these guys aren't going to do it, go find some new ones.
Under. How much does this team miss John Newman?
They miss his leadership. I think they miss him being kind of the voice of the locker room. I think all those guys had an immense level of respect for John and the way he went about his business. And you know, they miss his. He's one of those guys, Brent. He shot 34% from three. He wasn't a great 3-point shooter, but you couldn't just leave him standing there or he'd make you pay. So in those two regards, they miss him quite a bit.
Dylan's made some, but you can still see anytime he gets it on the perimeter, there is no defender within 10 feet.
No.
So
they're daring him to shoot it. They want him to shoot it. Please shoot the three.
Well, that's the mailbag. Get us out of here, Brent.
Nothing in the banks.
That's the mailbag. Get us out of here, Brent.
Well, Happy Boy Hours was fun with you, Aaron. This is quite a joy on my Monday. But hey, shouts to Scott Satterfield. How about that? I didn't even get to ask him about Scribble Dibble. I read a Justin Williams story about a little Scribble Dibble that we'll have to ask him someday, one day. Look it up. Seems interesting. But
Justin
you know
what?
Yeah, I don't know. Some guy.
Some
guy. He writes for the New York Times or something like that.
I've never heard of him.
Yeah, I've never heard of him either.
Is he a nice guy?
Yeah, I don't know. I might have shaken his hand once, but that's about it. I think he's a good guy though. I've heard good things. But you know what? Shouts to Danco Transmission and Auto Care. Shouts to Quick Favor Supply. Shouts to New Riff. They supply my favorite segment that I was finally able to do again this week. Thank you, Ryan Royer, my man in Boom, the Rizzler down there. And shouts to Aaron Smith, the greatest guy ever. Amazing. But you know, guys, it's game tomorrow night. We got a 10 p.m. tip-off on CBS Sports. A chance to get back on the right track at Utah, the land that the Madsen twins built. So tune into that. We're going to have coverage all leading up to that, and hopefully more coverage afterwards after a big win. So for my broadcast partners, my good pals, my good friends, Aaron Smith, Chad Brendel, and Ryan Royer, I am Brent Young. Yet again, another fantastic BBP presented by BearcatJournal.com.
See ya!